So we're going to be reading the Epic of Gilgamesh today, and I'm having each person identify 10 questions that stand out to them if they would ask a friend if they were to send a problem, stump the chump, which we might play after this. But this is from the Epic of Gilgamesh, and this is the background that sets the stage for the story. So, historical background. It says the Epic of Gilgamesh was written down on clay tablets in cuneiform, which is wedge-shaped script, at least 1,300 years before Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. Much more famous text. However, the first of these tablets was not discovered until excavations at Nineveh, begun in 1845, uncovered the library of Ashurbanipal, the last great king of Assyria, who ruled from 666 BC to 627 BC, or now it's BCE, before Common Era. Among the 25,000 tablets that this story was written on was the Assyrian version of Gilgamesh.
The epic gained international importance in 1862 when the excerpt in cuneiform published an outline of Gilgamesh along with his translation of part of the Assyrian versions of the flood. The similarity between the flood story in the Gilgamesh epic and the description of the flood in the Bible led to archaeologists to intensify their search for more cuneiform tablets.
Today, scholars have available tablets containing portions of the Gilgamesh epic from many of the ancient countries in the Middle East, dating from 2100 BC to 627 BC, including some recently found in the library of Ebla, the latest ancient kingdom to be discovered. They believe that stories of the adventures of Gilgamesh that existed in the oral tradition of Sumer were first written down approximately 2100 BC.
Between 1600 BC and 1000 BC, the epic had been inscribed in Akkadian, Hittite, and Hurrian translations, some following the Sumerian version, some branching off into wider variations, but all keeping the Sumerian names, characters, and gods. A priest by the name of Sinliqui Unini, who probably lived during this time, is given credit for creating the late Akkadian Babylonian version of the epic. Scholars think that he took the available Sumerian tales and imposed a uniform focus upon them so that a series of separate adventures became the dramatic story of Gilgamesh's search for immortality. He molded and integrated the Sumerian flood story into the epic and created the friendship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu.
Gilgamesh apparently was a real king of Uruk sometime between 2700 BC and 2500 BC, when Sumer had city-states, irrigation, laws, and various forms of literature. The writing of the time revealed that the people valued justice, freedom, and compassion. The strong walls of Uruk are attributed to Gilgamesh, and he may well have ventured into the wilderness in order to bring timber to his region in southern Mesopotamia, for wood was a valuable building material that this region lacked.
Oh boy. Scholars think that a specific catastrophic flood occurred in southern Mesopotamia in approximately 2900 BC. It became a popular subject in the literature of the time. The Sumerian view of the gods as unpredictable and therefore frightening reflects the unpredictable and disturbing nature of the world in which they lived. For example, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers of the often radically changed their paths from season to season, a phenomenon that must have wreaked havoc on the farms and cities in the area.
Traces of an earlier matriarchal religion remain in Gilgamesh, as well as in Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic. In the matriarchal society, the temple of Anu and Ishtar belongs to Ishtar alone. The priestess from the temple, who is chosen to civilize Enkidu, is highly esteemed in her society. Her role in the temple closely connects her with the great goddess or mother goddess, and sanctifies her sexual relationships.
In addition, Gilgamesh depicts Ishtar as a great goddess of the matriarch
Yep.
Matriarchal religion. When she wants Gilgamesh to marry her, he refuses because he knows the marriage to the great goddess will bring him certain death. He further insults Ishtar by listing the ways he has killed many of the previous mates. Ishtar becomes furious with Gilgamesh and retaliates by contriving to cause his death. However, his friend Enkidu dies instead, unwittingly serving as a substitute sacred king.
Alright, so appeal and value. It says Gilgamesh is the earliest major recorded work of literature. And Gilgamesh is the first human hero in literature. The epic is universally appealing among Western cultures because it reaffirms the similarities in human nature and human values across time and space. When the epic reveals the importance of friendship and love, pride and honor, adventure and accomplishment, and also the fear of death and the wish for immortality, it is speaking as clearly to us as it spoke to those who lived when it was written, I would say over 4,000 years ago.
Gilgamesh learns that the only type of immortality that he or any other mortal can achieve is lasting fame through performing great deeds and constructing lasting monuments. He also learns that his life is precious and
Should be.
And shed joy.
I think I cut the ends of these lines right off, but we'll just make it up.
And
should enjoy it to the fullest. Should be enjoyed to the fullest. I don't know. What Gilgamesh discovers during his long and awesome journey, we too must learn in the course of our lives that Gilgamesh must fight the despair of failure and death. Like Gilgamesh, he must do what he will to value in life and have the freedom to make those choices.
Alright, so the earliest hero, last paragraph, says Gilgamesh is an unusual hero in that his major quest has an intellectual purpose, the acquisition of knowledge. In addition to pursuing courage, he must have great determination, patience, and fortitude in order to reach his destination. Finally, having endured physical hazards, he must wage a war against despair when he learns that he cannot become immortal. He must, something about experiences that make his life worthwhile, and he must find ways to perpetuate his name. Later heroes start by accepting what Gilgamesh questions. They know that they will die. They know they're born into societies that have already determined the acceptable something of which a person can achieve fame and an immortal name. Here ends the reading of a terrible vision of the Epic of Gilgamesh.